Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to another market update with the team at tradinganడింvesting4u.com. Again, just before we get started, just have to let you know that when we made this, no financial objectives were taken into account. Anything we do say here is just general advice only. So let's get into this. Today I want to have a look at Europe. Obviously things are still not going according to plan over there, and I want to take a look at Facebook. Remember Facebook? Well, they had their big IPO, which failed obviously. Well, it didn't fail, but it wasn't as good as we thought. And they've got their first earning report coming out this week. So we'll just take a brief look at that. But before we get into that, remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, we have a few different links down there to get cash flow trainings, subscriptions to our education. But of course, please take a look at our blog. On that page, you'll find our blog post. You'll find our free video for our 3-step simple system to finding amazing entry points from our professional trader John Howe. And please remember, very important, our cash flow mastery summit that's coming up in about a month's time. Click on there to get all the details for some of the best cash flow strategies you can find out there at the moment. Any money we do make, please remember, goes to our favorite charity. So let's get into this. Europe. Well, firstly, let's talk about stocks on Friday, because once again they tanked, and it seems like they tanked because investors are again getting worried and frustrated over Europe. I think the S&P finished down over 1%, Nasdaq 1.3%, and the Dow just under 1%. I think it fell. In fact, one of the only things to go up in value last week on Friday were corn futures, and obviously when the global economy starts to tank like this, food is usually the first thing to go up. Unfortunately for all of those who are already hard hit out there, it doesn't look like things will get any easier in regard to the cost of food. So what's going on in Europe? Things are still falling apart. Spain's borrowing cost is nearly up to record rates again, and it looks like their plan to bail out the banks might not go far enough, and the economy just isn't growing in accordance to the expectations of the investors. And while we're talking about investors, Greece is in all kinds of trouble again. Greece and their investors are going to have a big meeting this week, and it's basically believed that they are not going to be able to meet their debt obligations. They're likely to default. And of course, if they don't meet their obligations, no more bailout money is going to be going to them. And investors are extremely worried about the domino effect that this might have, not only in Europe, with places like Spain, Cyprus, Italy, which are already struggling very badly, but also globally, because obviously we have this slowdown in Asia. We also have this slowdown in the US as well. So the domino effect that's likely going to come from Greece, it's very, very, very worrying. And that is obviously having a very detrimental effect to stock prices. Moving on to something a little bit different. Facebook. Obviously their IPO was not what we were expecting. Investors were hit hard, market makers were hit hard, as they were left in the dark for 2 hours with no idea whether or not their orders had been received or had been filled. So two things are happening this week. Firstly, the Nasdaq has come out with its compensation plan. I think market makers lost about 200 million or over 200 million through this botched IPO. And the plan that's come out, although it's 20 million more than initially thought, it is only $60 million. So it's a far cry from what was actually lost by the market makers, and that is expected to be rejected. Not only that, but on Thursday, I believe, we have Facebook's first earnings report. Many are still very, very skeptical about the earnings ability, or the ability of this company to bring in cash. So there's going to be a lot of attention focused on its advertising business line as well as its mobile application line. And I think this announcement, of course all announcements have an effect on share prices in general of the relative company, but I think this particular announcement for Facebook is going to be very, very telling in its share price. So all in all, it looks like it could be another messy week in the markets. If Greece does go down, wow, the euro is already at a ridiculous rate against the US dollar. Places like Australia and New Zealand, their currencies are being hit hard because, of course, they're high risk investments. So if Greece does go down, I think we're likely to see quite a big fall, not only for the Aussie and the New Zealand dollars, but quite likely also the stock market. But let's see what happens. Thanks for stopping in today. Remember, if you're looking at this on YouTube, please take advantage of our free education there. Please click over to Facebook. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up there. Have a look at our blog, and hopefully I'll talk to you again soon.